Add a touch of grace to your holiday decor this holiday season with these stunning 4 macrame angel ornaments. And welcome to BOCHIKNOT Macrame. In this video, I will be going over 4 super stunning macrame angel ornament patterns. I'd recommend watching all the way through before you choose the macrame angel you want to make. So if you have the time, I'd recommend trying your hands at all of them. They're all relatively easy to make, with a lot of them just using double half-inch knot techniques. So hopefully, even if you are a beginner, you'll be able to follow along. And without further ado, let's jump right in. So for this angel pattern, of course, you will need some macrame cord, and I'll be using our 3mm single strand cord from our foundation cord line. This is probably my favorite cord to use because it's natural organic cotton, so it is super soft to the touch, but it also stays nice and sturdy, which is hard to find when it comes to single strand macrame cord. When using this cord, you'll make nice neat knots with ease. Other than cord, you will also need a 2-inch wooden ring. I think this is slightly less than 2 inches, but it's almost there. And this large hole bead. Now this large hole bead is approximately 20mm with a 10mm hole. Now you don't have to have that big of a bead if you're using 3mm cord. You'll need at least a 6mm hole to fit 2 strands of 3mm cord through, but this is the bead I'll be using for this angel. I'll be using a macrame board to make this angel. If you don't have one, you don't need it. You can just make your angel on a stable surface like a table and mount your ring down with some tape. To begin, we are going to take a 90cm strand of cord, and we're going to use a measuring tape to measure one end to approximately 15 centimeters. Then we're going to hold that part folded over into a loop and ensure that the right end is the shorter end, the 15cm long end, and then the left end is the longer end. Then we're going to take this loop underneath the ring. We're going to make a reverse lark's head knot. So bring the cord ends through to tighten. Now after making the reverse lark's head knot, we just want to make sure that the short end is still 15 centimeters long. And it's slightly shorter because we used up some of it for the reverse lark's head knot. So I'm just going to loosen it up a bit and then pull on the right end so that it is a little bit longer. Then I'm going to remeasure so that we're at 15 centimeters. So we still have a little bit more to go. So now we're at 15 centimeters. Okay, so the wing pattern is going to be the same pattern throughout on both sides, except we are going to make the biggest part of the wing right now, and then with every pattern we make afterwards, they're going to be slightly smaller. So it's just going to be a few less vertical lark's head knots. So to begin, the short end is going to be the anchor cord, the left end is going to be the working cord. We take the working cord underneath. We're going to start our first vertical lark's head knot. So bring it over through the right, then tighten. then bring it underneath through the right and tighten. And then we're going to keep repeating. Over, through the right, tighten. Under, through the right, tighten. And I'm just going to make a few more. We're now going to repeat this until we have a total of 12 vertical arc knots. So we've already made 4, we're going to make 8 more underneath. Once we're done all 12 vertical arc knots, you should have about 2 inches of string left over on both ends. So we have our 12 vertical arc knots. Now I'm going to just pull on the anchor cord slightly just to shift them together, to get rid of some space or gaps. It doesn't have to be super tight, but it should be nice and snug. And then we're going to fold it over like so, and then we're going to secure this little part of the wing by taking the anchor cord end. We're going to wrap it around right at the beginning and then bring it to the back, then use the other end. We're going to tie a double overhand knot. And we are now complete with the first part of the wing. Now we're going to make slightly smaller sections underneath. So next up, we're going to need a 75 centimeter long cord. This time with the 75 centimeter long cord, we're going to make sure that the shorter end, once attached, is going to be 12 centimeters in length. So I'm going to just guess where that 12 centimeter is, and then I'm just going to take that loop underneath for a reverse larkspur knot. We have to adjust it anyways. So I'm going to measure it. We're actually pretty bang on at 12 centimeters in length, so no adjustment is needed for this. Now, before we start on the vertical larkspur knots, I'm just going to loosen up this larkspur knot that we had just made. We're going to take the cords from the section above, and we're just going to pull them inside the loop. We're just going to tuck them in. Once you have tucked them in, we're going to retighten the reverse larkspur knot, like so. Okay, so now we are ready to begin this next section. So same pattern, but this time we're going to make 2 less vertical larkspur knots. So instead of 12 vertical larkspur knots, we're going to make 10. So with the left cord as a working cord, make a vertical larkspur knot. So take the cord over through the right, under through the right, and then repeat until you have a total of 10. Okay, again, once we are done, I'm just going to pull on the anchor cord a little bit to shift the knots together so that they're even and they're neat. Then we're going to fold it over again. Take the anchor cord end through the front, side, and to the back. And then with the other end, we're going to tie a double overhand knot. Now, if you are using a different brand of 3mm cord, or if you're using a thicker cord, you may need to add a bit more cord lengths to the suggested cord lengths that I'm using for this pattern so that you can make the same number of knots. Okay, so now what we're going to do is with the excess cords that we had tucked in underneath that second section, we're going to snip off the excess. And then now we're going to include these excess for the next loop we make underneath. This time we're going to be using a 65 centimeter long cord. So using a 65 centimeter long cord, we're going to only need 10 centimeters of length on the shorter end. So ensuring that we make the reverse larceny knot with those two ends from the previous loop tucked in, we're going to tighten it with them inside. Now, I'm just going to measure it to make sure it's a little bit shorter, so loosen it up. Before I fully tighten, I'm just going to measure it one more time. And it's perfect. So, there you have it. Our third section is now added. Now, the first section we had 12 vertical larceny knots, second section 10. So this time we're going to make 8. So start off with a vertical larceny knot, then make 7 more. So similar to the other two sections, bring this cord around and tie a double overhand knot at the back. Once done, if you haven't already, we're going to trim off the excess from the previous section. And then we're going to include the cords from the section we had just added, tucked into our final section. So with the final section, we are going to need 8 centimeters on the right shorter end. And we are using a 55 centimeter long cord. So just measuring this one more time. So we're just slightly over. I think that's good. And now we are going to make a total of 6 vertical larceny knots here. Last but not least, shift the knots together, then bring the cord around to the back side for our final double overhand knot. Okay, I'm just going to snip off the excess from the section before. And then now we are going to repeat the same pattern on the left side, mirroring what we just did on the right. So starting with a 90 centimeter long cord again, this time we need the left end to be 15 centimeters long. Okay, so now that we have our left end here as the 15 centimeter end, the right end is the long end, take the long end underneath and over, and we're going to bring it over and through the left, tighten, under, through the left, to tighten. Over through the left to tighten. Under through the left to tighten. And we're going to make a total of 12 vertical larceny knots. Once done, our 12, shift them together a little bit. Then we're going to fold it over, bring the anchor cord end through the front to the back for a double overhand knot. Then we're going to include these ends in the next vertical larceny knot. So next up, we're going to be using a 75 centimeter long cord with a 12 centimeter shorter end. Okay, once attached, left end is 12 centimeters. We're now going to make 10 consecutive vertical larceny knots. Bring this cord back and then tie a double overhand knot. Once done, this is what it should look like at the back. I've also cut off the excess cord ends from the previous section, and now we are ready to add our 65 centimeter long cord with a 10 centimeter shorter end. And then here we are going to make a total of 8 vertical larceny knots. So over through the left, under through the left. Again, take the cord end over to the back and tie a double overhand knot. It's done. If there are any excess ends from the previous section, I'm going to snip those off. And then lastly, we are going to attach our 55 centimeter long cord. And we're going to leave a 9 centimeter, 8 to 9 centimeter shorter length. Okay, we have our 9 centimeter end. I had a little bit more than 8 centimeters on the other side, and it was just a tad bit short, so I think 9 centimeters would be perfect. And so we're gonna bring the right end over to the left for a vertical larceny knot. And then we're going to make 5 more. Last but not least, clean up the final loop section here, bring it around, tie a double overhand knot, and then snip off the excess. Once done, this is what the pattern should look like. We should have little loops from large to small, and you should only have cord sticking out from the bottom. We're just going to cut off the excess there, as close to the double overhand knot. Now, if you think the knots are going to come undone fairly easily, then you can dab a bit of glue at the ends of the double overhand knot so that they don't come undone super easily. And then now we will attach our bead to the top of the ring. To do that, we need a 30 centimeter strand of cord. We're going to fold it in half and make a reverse larceny knot at the top of the ring. Then thread the bead through. And then tie an overhand knot at the top. Tie it as close to the top as possible. So we're just going to slide it, and then we have a little bit left that's uneven, so I'm just going to snip it off. And this is what it looks like so far. And then last but not least, we're going to add some fringe. So what we have here is 10 strands of 30 centimeter long cords. We're going to separate them into 5 strands each, and we're going to comb through all of the strands. So make sure it's combed all the way through. Make sure that both sections are combed through, and then we'll come back once that's done. So once both sections are combed through, this is what they should look like. And then now, sliding the bead up, we're going to place one section on the left side, then bring the end through the middle so that they're both at the front. Do the same thing with the other bundle. Bring it through, bring the back bundle through to the top. And then now we have to make sure that at the front, it looks like the two sections are blended in the middle. So we do want to try and comb them together in the front. And it would help to also comb through the back as well. And then make sure once it's combed through, we hold this section together tightly. And then we're going to use a 25 centimeter long cord for a gathering knot. So make a loop, take the long end, wrap it around a few times, making sure that's nice and tight. Then bring the end through the loop. And then pull on the top end. To tighten the gathering knot. Then once through, we can cut off the excess cord. And then make sure that it's still nice and tight. If there's any excess cord ends at the bottom, we're gonna snip that off too. Okay, now we're gonna split this in half, front and back. Take that back half and push it behind the ring. And then bring all the fringe down, comb through them again, front and back. And then we're gonna trim the ends. And this is what the angel looks like. And now it is complete.
Here are the materials and supplies I've used for this pattern. If you are interested in using the exact same ones, I'll link them in the description below. The cord I'll be using today is a 2mm single strand cord from our Lush line. This is a nice, sturdy, skinny cord. Because it is so thin, it doesn't unravel easily even though it is single strand. This cord has a nice smooth texture, so it's super comfortable to work with. You will also need a large hole bead. I'm using a 10mm size bead and then also a 3-inch metal ring. To begin, we're going to take a 70cm strand of cord and we're going to pin or tape it down horizontally. Now towards the middle of the anchor cord, we're going to take a 50cm long cord folded in half, and we're going to make a reverse lark's head plus half hitch knot onto the horizontal anchor cord. Start off with a reverse lark's head knot first. Then with the right end, we're going to make a half hitch knot onto the right side, and then with the left end, we're going to make a half hitch knot on the left side. Now take 7 more strands of 50cm long cords and repeat the same knot in the middle section of the horizontal anchor cord. Once done, we're going to ensure that the left and right ends of the horizontal anchor cord are even on both sides. So make sure you match the ends together and then shift the cord if necessary to make sure that they're even. Once that's done, we're going to separate out the patterns in the middle of the horizontal anchor cord. So there should be 4 knots on both sides. We're going to make a small hole in the middle, and then with our last 50cm long cord, we're going to make a reverse lark's head knot facing the top side. Once done, push the right and left knots together in the center. Now we are going to start with our first row of double half hitch knots. So taking the middle right cord as an anchor cord, make a row of double half hitch knots to the right side. So start with the next cord to the right as a working cord for a double half hitch knot, and then we're going to repeat the same knot all the way to the right side. Now taking the middle left cord as an anchor cord, make a row of double half hitch knots to the left side. Now is the time to check to see if your ring will fit this pattern. I'm using 2mm cord from our Lush line and a 3-inch metal ring, and as you can see, the ends sit nicely within the ring. So you might have to adjust your knots, the number of cords as necessary, or the size of your ring to make your angel fit. If it does fit, place your ring on top of the pattern with the top cord on the right side. Make a double half-hitch knot onto the ring. Then bring the anchor cord from underneath above the ring, and then taking that working cord we had just used, bring it underneath, and we're going to attach it onto that bottom anchor cord with a double half-hitch knot to the right side. Now we're going to repeat the exact same pattern on the left side, mirroring what we just did on the right, taking the top left cord as a working cord for a double half-hitch knot onto the ring. Then bring the anchor cord from underneath above the ring, and then take that top cord end downwards for a double half-hitch knot to the left. Now what we're going to do is take the middle, right, and left cords as anchor cords for a row of double half-hitch knots all the way to the right, including the far right cord, and then the middle left cord for a row of double half-hitch knots to the left, including the far left cord. Once done, what we're going to do is take the anchor cord from this last row of double half-hitch knots. We're going to bring it inside the ring on the right side, and then we're going to finish off with a double half-hitch knot onto the ring. Now repeat the same thing on the left side. So the majority of the knot making is now complete, and now we're going to start on the fringing of the angel wings. So taking your fringe comb, we are going to comb through the vertical cords underneath the wings on both sides. Trim them to your desired length, and then comb through and then trim and repeat. Don't trim it too short as of yet because we will be trimming it a lot shorter after we've attached the middle tassel onto the angel. For the body of the angel, what you're going to do is separate out 2 groups of 6 cords at 40 centimeters long each, and with each group of 6 cords, we're going to comb through them into fringe. So we're going to comb them all the way through. Once one group is done, make another group like this. And now we're ready to attach this onto the body of the angel. Start by threading one group through the right side, in between the middle section and the right wing, and then with the other group, we're going to take it to the left side. Now this part is important. Once you have grouped them on the right and left sides, we're going to try to blend both sides together by combing through the fringe in the front and in the back. Once you have the fringe of the body nice and neat on the front and on the back, we will now take our 25 centimeter long cord and we're going to make a gathering knot starting at the back. When you start at the back, it looks neater at the front. For a gathering knot, make a loop with one end, hold it with one hand, then take the long end and we're going to wrap it around the right side all the way up to the top, a few wraparounds. Now we're going to take the cord end through the loop from the beginning and then pull on the top end to pull that cord end underneath the gathered cords. Cut off the excess cord ends. And now you can trim your angel wings to your desired shape and length, as well as the body of the angel. Now for the fringe of the wings and also the tassel on the body of the angel, if you want to stiffen them up, you can use hairspray or a fabric stiffener. They both work well. So now with the upper two cord ends, we're going to thread our large hole bead through. Now here you have the option of skipping to the end by attaching the two upper cords onto the top of the ring with double half-inch knots to finish off your ornament. Or if you want to add some hair to the angel, you can pay attention to the next step. For the hair, we're going to take 6 strands of 25cm long cords, either in the same color or in a different color if you'd like. I'm using a different color for the hair. This is our linen color, also in our 2mm lush cord line. And similar to all the other fringe that we have done, we're going to comb through the hair. So we're going to comb through the 6 strands of cords here. Once the 6 strands are combed through, we're going to take it above the angel, right above the head, in between the top 2 cords. The tassel should run even on both sides. And then once we have found the middle spot, we're going to take our upper 2 cords and we're going to seal with an overhand knot. Make sure the overhand knot is nice and tight, and you do want the overhand knot to sit at the back side. Once the overhand knot has been made, turn the pattern around so that the vertical cords are facing the bottom. Then one by one, take the cords to the back of the ring and then attach them both onto the ring with double half-inch knots. Then with the 2 cord ends, make a large overhand knot up at the top. Last but not least, trim through the hair on both sides and then trim if necessary. Now, if you use a different color for the hair and you don't want to see that white part at the top, you can side part the hair. Just take a bit of cord from the other side and then move it on to the right side like what I'm doing here. And then it will cover that white spot in the middle. And we are now complete with this angel. Listed here are the materials and supplies I've used for this pattern. I've used 2mm cord, a 2-inch wooden ring, and a large hole bead. So this is the wooden ring I'll be using for this pattern. It's your standard wooden ring used for plant hangers. It's approximately 2 inches in diameter. And you will also need a large hole bead because we are using thin cord. It doesn't have to be that large, but at least it has to be a 3mm hole to fit in 2 strands of 2mm cords. Next, you will need some macrame cord. I'm using a 2mm single strand cord from our Lush line. As you can see, it's very sturdy cord because it's so skinny. For a single strand, this works really well. It holds together very nicely. If you are interested in any of the materials used here, you can check out the links in the video description below or check out the products tagged in this video. To begin, we're going to start with our 50cm strand of cord, and we're going to tie it onto the ring with a reverse lark's head knot. Then taking our bead, we're going to thread it through the 2 cord ends. And then with the 2 cord ends, bring it across to the other side of the ring. And then we're going to secure both ends on the other side with double half-hitch knots. Now for the handle of the ornament, we're going to take the 2 cord ends and make a large overhand knot at the end. Next up, we're going to take our longer strands of cords at 75 centimeters long. We're going to attach it onto the right side of the ring with reverse lark's head knots. So we're going to start by attaching 2 strands on the right side first. Now with these 4 vertical facing cord ends, we're going to make a leaf pattern. So to do that, take the far left cord as an anchor cord and then the right cord next to it as a working cord for a double half-hitch knot to the right. Then continue to the right side for 2 more double half-hitch knots after that. Now underneath, take the far left cord again and make another row of 3 double half-hitch knots to the right. Now skipping the far left cord, take the next cord after that as an anchor cord for 2 double half-inch knots to the right. Bring the anchor cord back over to the left now for 2 double half-inch knots to the left side. Now take the far right cord as an anchor cord for 3 double half-inch knots to the left. For the last double half-inch knot, make sure we pull on the knot tightly so that a leaf pattern forms. So there should be no space in between the row above and the row here. Now take the far right cord as an anchor cord again, make another 3 double half-inch knots to the left side to finish off this first leaf pattern. And we are now complete with our very first leaf. Attach 2 more strands of 75cm cords to the right and make another leaf pattern. Now make one more leaf pattern on the right side up above. We're now going to repeat the same pattern on the left side. Start by attaching 2 strands of 75cm long cords on the left side with reverse lark's head knots. Now with these 4 vertical strands here, make a leaf pattern facing the left side. So we're going to do the exact same pattern as what we have done on the right side, but now in the opposite direction. Once this first leaf pattern is complete on the left side, make 2 more leaf patterns right above it. Once we're done with the leaf patterns on both sides, we are now going to comb through all of the fringe from under the leaf patterns, because we're then going to weave these cords through the middle of the ring to bring them to the front of the pattern. So before we do that, we're going to comb through all of the vertical strands of cords first on both sides. Now you don't have to comb through the individual strands of cords here if you don't want to. You can just leave them as individual strands and group them together to form a tassel at the bottom. But I do prefer the fringed out look, so it really depends on your preference. So once you are done combing through all of the cords, you should see that there are what looks like 3 tassels on both sides. We're going to take the bottom 2 tassels on the right side, we're going to thread them through the ring from the back to the front, and then do the same thing on the left side. We don't want to pull on these tassels too tightly so that the leaf patterns fall backwards. We want to keep them straight facing forward on the sides. So we do have to find the right balance here. And then once we have gathered the 4 strands at the front, we're going to comb through these 4 tassels together so that they blend nicely together. The 2 tassels at the back, so on the right and left sides, these will stay at the back. And once we have combed through the tassels on the front, gather the front tassels with the back tassels, and then we're going to take a 40cm strand of cord and we're going to make a gathering knot right underneath. Take your strand of cord, make a loop on one end, take the long end and wrap it around a few times before pulling the end through the loop at the front, and then pulling on the top end to secure the knot. Pull on the fringe underneath to tighten any loose threads up at the top, and then cut off the excess cord ends. And then last but not least, comb through the tassel on both sides at the bottom and then trim off the excess. And you are now complete with this angel pattern. Need a few materials and supplies for this pattern. I've used 3mm cotton cord along with 1.5mm string, a wooden ring, and a wooden bead. Here are the 2 different size angels that I talked about in the intro. On the right here is the large one, and over on the left is the smaller one we will be going over today. As you can see, the one on the left uses a slightly smaller ring and a slightly smaller bead. Other than a ring and a bead, you will need some 1.5 millimeters, so either 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter string. The string that I will be using is a 1.5 millimeter 2-ply string from our rainbow cord line in natural. Because in the pattern we will be making a very tight gathering knot, so you will need some string for this part. And then of course, last but not least, you will need some macrame cord, and I will be using 3 millimeter single strand macrame cord for the smaller angel. This is our single strand cord from our rainbow cord line in natural. This is a great sturdy cord to work with, so if you are a beginner, this is the cord for you. To start, we're going to take our 30 centimeter strand of cord, fold it in half, and we're going to make a lark's head knot onto the wooden ring. Then take your large hole bead and thread it through the 2 cord ends. Then finish off at the ends of the 2 cords with a large overhand knot. Now we're going to take 8 strands of 30 centimeter long cords, and we're going to split them in half into 2 groups of 4 cords each, and we're going to comb through each group of these. The easiest way to do this is comb through half of the group first and then comb through the other half so that the entire group is combed through. Once both groups are combed through, we can now place them on the sides underneath the bead and above the ring, so where the lark's head knot is. So thread one group through on the right side and then one group on the left side. Once weaved through, we're going to comb through the front and the back of the pattern and then secure at the very bottom with a strand of 30 centimeter string using a gathering knot. So once you have gotten it nice and neat on the front and the back, we're now going to take a 30 centimeter strand of string and make a gathering knot. Make a loop with one end first, then take the long end and wrap it around a few times. Now place the long end through the loop we made in the beginning and then pull on the top end to tighten the knot. Then cut off the excess string. Once done, we're going to split the bottom part in half and thread through half of the fringe onto the other side of the ring so that there's about half on the front and half on the back. Then comb through the fringe again. Now we're going to take our 8 strands of 45 centimeter long cords folded in half. We're going to attach 4 onto the right side of the ring with reverse lark's head knots, and then 4 onto the left side of the ring with reverse lark's head knots. Once all the cords are attached, we're going to turn the pattern sideways and start with the right winged pattern first. Taking the far left cord there as an anchor cord, make a full row of double half-inch knots all the way to the right. Then taking the third cord from the left as an anchor cord, make another full row of double half-inch knots all the way to the right. Now that the pattern's complete on the right side, we're going to repeat the same thing on the left. So starting with the far right cord as an anchor cord, make a full row of double half-inch knots all the way to the left. Then with the third cord from the right as an anchor cord, make another full row of double half-inch knots all the way to the left. Now that the knotted pattern is complete, all that there's left to do is comb through the fringe on the winged pattern and at the bottom and trim to your desired shape and length. Now for some helpful tips on how to stiffen up the fringe and shaping the fringe, we have a 5 fringe tips tutorial that you definitely should check out to help you with this part of the tutorial. The key thing to use here is some sort of fabric stiffener or hairspray. And we are now complete with this macrame angel pattern. I hope you enjoyed the 4 macrame angel ornaments tutorial. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these 4 were your favorite and why. I personally find it really hard to choose, but if I were to choose one, I do like the leaf angel the best. If you guys know me and have been following me, you know I love a good leaf pattern, and especially a textured and layered leaf pattern like this angel. Definitely my whole vibe. But so are the other ones. So if you did enjoy some of the other ones as well, I'd love to hear from you. If you guys are wanting to take your macrame skills up a notch to make larger, more intricate macrame projects, whether or not it's Christmas themed. We do go over several macrame themes and topics over on the BOCHIKNOT macrame community on Patreon. We do focus on learning some more advanced techniques with larger projects. So if you guys are interested in that, you may want to check out patreon.com/BOCHIKNOT for more details. I wish you guys a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.